ears off? I thought you might. Thanks for joining me as I take a listen to various albums from the Tiki listening scene and give you my thoughts and opinions thereof. You may have noticed that today I'm coming to you from my indoor Tiki space. It is December. Even here in Texas, we get cold snaps, and the Lagoon of Mystery is a little bit chilly. I don't know how the acoustics are going to work in here, so please bear with me, okay? Because it is the holiday season, the album we're going to look at today is Merry Christmas from Slowey and the Boats, Volume 1 and 2. Slowey and the Boats is a Philadelphia-based quintet that formed in 2012 and released its first album in 2015. I learned about the group maybe in late 2019, just before the COVID pandemic shut the world down. I would describe the group's sound as neo-hapa-haole, maybe. It's not exactly hapa-haole, at least not traditionally speaking, but the sound is based around the steel guitar of Isaac Stanford. If there is one single instrument evocative of old Hawaii, or at least our mythology of, even more so than the ukulele, it's got to be the Hawaiian steel guitar, even to the point of cliche. But here's the thing, Slowey and the Boats doesn't play hapa-haole music, at least not exclusively. The band members give a dreamy tropical treatment to a wide range of classics and standards. Some you'd be more likely to hear from Tony Bennett, others from the oeuvre of groups such as Asleep at the Wheel. They cast a wide net. While Exotica is typically considered the classic Tiki soundtrack, and surf guitar has broadly been accepted as the modern incarnation of Tiki music, it's worth remembering that Hawaiian/hapa-haole music served as the original Tiki escapist music. It's nice that Slowey and the Boats are continuing the legacy of that music from the first half of the 20th century, while simultaneously updating the sound with a retro contemporary aesthetic. That doesn't really make much sense, does it? What I'm trying to say is that Slowey and the Boats enjoy the benefits of far superior production technologies, as well as the luxury of more intentional and artistic arrangements than their predecessors. Like it or not, during the Hawaiian music booms of the 1930s and 50s, the music was often treated as a commodity rather than a creative work. Most recordings were made by session players in Los Angeles rather than indigenous artists on the island, regardless of what the liner notes on those old albums we find may say otherwise. Slowey and the Boats brings an artistic authenticity to this music, even though the members are all based in Pennsylvania rather than Oahu. Which brings me to Merry Christmas from Slowey and the Boats, Volume 1 and 2. This 12-album track came out in 2020 and is actually a compilation of two 6-track EPs, Volume 1 and Volume 2. Duh. So this time, dear viewers, you are spared from my complaints of the album under consideration delivering too few songs. 10 to 12 tracks is about what I consider the sweet spot for albums, when one has a home Tiki space, or even a commercial bar. Finding appropriate holiday music that fits thematically with the escapism elements of Tiki can be a challenge. So, what's the verdict on Slowey and the Boats? Let's start at the beginning, and the opening track, I'll Be Home for Christmas. I don't know how many times this one's been covered, but Slowey and the Boats deliver the coolest, jazziest version I think I've ever heard. Seriously, this one's just as suitable for playing in your home tiki bar basement as it is at a swanky black tie cocktail soiree. You know what I'm talking about. Slowey and the Boats has a jazz streak to it, but that's really leaned into on this song. David Strime's work on the Fender Rhodes keyboard here really drives that aspect home. It just lays down the ground rules without showing off and sets the tone for what's to come. Needless to say, I'm impressed. Although, I guess I just said that anyway. Next up is God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen, an English carol dating all the way back to the 17th century.
God rest ye merry gentlemen, let nothing you dismay. Remember Christ our Savior was born on Christmas Day to save us all from Satan's power when we were gone astray. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy, oh, tidings of...
This carol may be close to 500 years old, but to my ear, the primary influence sounds like the Bare Naked Ladies. And that's not a bad thing, because the group's version with Sarah McLachlan injected a welcome dose of up-tempo, rhythmic swing to the carol. I'm not saying Slowey and the Boats version sounds anything like the Bare Naked Ladies take, because it doesn't really. But my headcanon says that that earlier version granted permission to experiment with arrangements on this classic carol, which Slowey and the Boats certainly do here. Fred Berman lays down a percussive backbone reminiscent of the Bare Naked Ladies version, but again, this group leans into jazzier territory. Vocalist Shannon McGill sounds like she's ready to break into scat at any moment. Nate Skiles' resonator guitar has a nice solo, and again, the organ work literally drips jazz. Finally, let's give a listen to "O Christmas Tree," the opening track from Volume 2, which has origins in 19th century Germany. I've got a soft spot for this German carol. This version reminds me of Vince Guaraldi's arrangement from A Charlie Brown Christmas, which this is the second time now that I've referenced Guaraldi in one of my reviews. I guess I like him, huh? The instrumentation isn't the same, obviously, but they both share a playful, up-tempo approach to the source material. The bass line from Mike Latke is just a cool groove here, allowing the other band members to play around with a joyful energy. This is another selection where the jazz elements are front and center, if that wasn't made obvious by my comparison to Guaraldi. I want to shout out a couple of other high points as well. On the track Sleigh Ride, the steel guitar takes on a decidedly country and western twang that I wasn't expecting, but it absolutely works given the subject matter. On Christmas Island, one of my favorite tropical themed Christmas songs, Steve Stanislaw lends retro mid-Atlantic vocals that come close to outdoing Bing Crosby for period appropriate sound. And each EP included a version of the classic Mele Kalikimaka, both of which are featured here on the compilation. The Volume 1 version, with McGill on vocals, is an up-tempo take on the song along the lines of what Ella Fitzgerald or Lena Horne might do with the material. By contrast, the Volume 2 version, with Stanislaw singing, is more languid and evocative of Crosby's classic crooning. This entire album is a relaxing, jazzy experience for your ear holes. It's easy going without being boring. The sound is rounded and fluid with no sharp edges, the kind that will suck you in and make you smile without you ever noticing. The musicianship is deft and skillful without being flashy. There's a cool confidence here that is infectious, and it makes me glad that Slowey and the Boats are doing this kind of music. Now, I am including links down below so you can go directly to Bandcamp and purchase this if you so choose. As always, I encourage you to support these independent artists who are investing their money, their time, their heart, their soul, their blood, their sweat, their tears into producing this new original music for you and I to enjoy. Now, I know it's popular and common these days. It's almost the default to get your music through streaming, to listen to these groups through Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon. But the fact of the matter is that these streaming platforms are claiming record profits of millions of dollars, even as they are cutting back on the compensation they are offering the musicians. So the absolute best way to guarantee that these individual artists continue making great music for us to enjoy is to support them directly. And I think that's a small price to pay, but then again, I'm old and crotchety, so what you gonna do? I hope you've enjoyed this episode, this audio sampling of Slowey and the Boats, and I hope you and yours have a fantastic holiday season. So until next time, Mele Kalikimaka.